recorded live from Mumbai and Bangalore with Arcane Phoenix and NKG.
Yes, I am NKG. Thank you, everyone who's watching live or later. And this time we are not just recording live, we are also broadcasting live, which is a
So
first for this podcast.
we are trying. Let's see how it goes. Maybe one day we will be rolling in the streamer millions.
Yeah,
Like
this.
where the masses have been asking, where is PewDiePie to?
Where
Then
is
here
PewDiePie?
we have two PewDiePies.
Yes, we are two Indian PewDiePies. But we will not be holding up any signs with anti Semitic messages. Uh, Sadly. But yeah, so this is a first for us. There will be no editing. Everything that is said and shown on the screen here is fully live. And I have enabled the chat. So the chat I have hidden for now because there's like I got a spam message there, which does not go away from the on-screen display even if I delete it. So unless there are other chat messages, the chat will be hidden. Yes, so we have quite a lot of interesting topics today. And which one do you want to start with? Like, everything that's listed on the stream is on the table today.
Okay, so we have Hindenburg. We have to go to the big boy.
Sorry?
We have Hindenburg. We have to go to the big boy.
Yeah, Hindenburg. You want to start with Hindenburg?
Let's go.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm just giving my general thoughts about the Adani versus Hindenburg the thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's like it's an event that has happened in the financial world, which I so in summary, I cannot bring myself to care about it, is because it's at the end of the day like it's like billionaire versus billionaire kind of a situation. And of course Adani's like industries are tied into a lot of Indian economy as a whole. But I also really hated the fact that like he got targeted by this institution called the Hindenburg Research, which essentially does this whole charade of that, oh, we investigate companies for fraud and market manipulation and all sorts of wrongdoings, and then when we figure them out, we short their stocks. And anyone can come in and say whether or not those shorted stocks go down because of their own wrongdoings or because Hindenburg Research published a report about them that they are built on shaky ground. No one knows, but at the end, like, this business model has been quite profitable for them. So I am also not empathetic or defensive of Hindenburg Research in general. I cannot pretend to be an economist and be like, oh yeah, their research checks out. I don't know. People have been talking about them doing some research in other countries on a particular target for a couple of years. I've seen some videos where they had been disclosing that they are targeting a particular business entity for a long time. And now it has been revealed to be the Adani Group. But like, the thing is, okay, Adani played his card of nationalism, but I extremely, really hate, because as I mentioned, I've started consuming some right wing online media as well. I really hate how much at least the mainstream online right wing machinery has eaten that up. Like, they are chomping at the bit to be like, yes, Adani equals to India, defend Adani, defend India, right? And I hate that. Like, I absolutely hate that. What do you what are your thoughts on that, Arkan?
You must have seen the link I shared where the Adani Group of Companies chief financial officer equated Hindenburg's report about the stocks route of the Adani Group with literally
Jallianwala
Jallianwala
Bagh,
Bagh.
yeah.
it's been a while since a news article has legitimately, unironically made my jaw drop, but that genuinely happened. He went there. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if Bernie Madoff had said that him being investigated for what was it, stock or something?
Yeah, he did like a full on Ponzi scheme.
Imagine if Bernie Madoff had said that him being investigated for his Ponzi scheme was like the Holocaust.
Wait, was Bernie Madoff Jewish? I don't.
Bernie Madoff was Jewish.
Okay, yeah, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, the thing is, of course, this is an extremely distasteful thing to say, but nobody, like, even the people who claim to be extremely hyper patriotic and extremely, like, populist, right? They're like, oh
Mhm.
no, yes, Mr. Adani, yes, of course, sir. You attack on you means an attack on India, right?
No,
Not
the thing
even,
is, this is not contradictory to populism.
yeah, I guess.
Because the idea is because the idea of nationalist billionaires has been around for a while.
Right.
It's
Hmm.
something I have seen,
Hmm.
and the idea that because Mr. Adani and Mr. Ambani are billionaires, at least they are billionaires in the national interest, so to speak.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They don't do anything particularly national in national interest.
No,
They're
the implication is that
industrialists.
because because they are big names in finance and etc. They kind of fuel Indian industry just by kind of being there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, okay, they are industrialists by virtue of being industrialists. They have a big market share and they are pumping a lot of money and a lot of jobs into the Indian economy. That's what a default state of a big industrialist in a developing nation is, right?
Sure.
How does that make them a national asset? Like, how do, like
because
in
because they say the right things
hmm?
and they have the right media behind them to portray them as this figure.
Right,
There's a
yeah,
reason. There's a reason. Like it doesn't make them in fact actually like a national asset, unless you're talking in a sort of big too big to fail sense, where if like you hacked down Ambani and Adani like in a day, a lot of indian a lot of Indian industry would just die and then like sort of have
yeah.
a sort of knock on effect on a lot of other industries. In that sense, technically, in the sort of big to too big to fail logic.
Hmm.
But in general, the perception is more because the perception of nationalist billionaires in general, and these two being nationalist billionaires in particular, has been because it has been made
Hmm.
by media, by other like ways of perception management, by like corporate statement. There's a reason.
Yeah, at this point,
There's
I
a
am kind of red pilled in the sense that I think these people, like even the YouTubers, are directly getting money. Like, I am full on conspiracy head right now that they're just directly getting money transfers in, like, in cash directly in their hand to be this, like, not just dumb, but maliciously dumb. This is malicious. This is like, oh, like the people who have more money right now than you will ever see in your lifetime, who are not affected by this so much. Like, it's not like they're down on the street. You will be down on the streets immediately. Like, if you work for any of the organizations that are under their group and those go under, you will be the first people to be laid off, because when it comes to giving stockholders value, the first thing that a company thinks of is, okay, yeah, let's let go of as many people as we physically can, and then start thinking about what we can change in our business model or our business strategy to make more profit, right? And it's like, okay, this is very weird, because I think you will sympathize, because from a lefty perspective, is that, oh, trying to empathize with billionaires is an extremely repulsive idea to me.
the thing is, a lot of this is media,
Hmm.
and if uh, if nearly nearly 9 years of the BJP government has taught us anything, it is that media management can do a lot for a government
Yep.
or for any organization in general, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So a lot of this just wait, a lot of this just seems, standard media management. Uh, a lot a lot. So many times, a politician has made this point that if I am being attacked by an international organization, that means India is being attacked. This is not new, but it is definitely a new level of shit. Um, I guess I don't remember what you were asking, kind of.
Yeah, I was just asking your general, like, of course, general impression of this whole thing, because, of course, in the financial world, what happens is, as it is shady, there is no need for any extra commentary on it. A lot, stocks and all these tradable securities, this is all a game of smokes and mirrors, and which everybody thinks that everyone has an equal chance of making it, but of course, the people who have already made it have a better chance of making it more. But so I don't care about that, but what I really care about and what really bothers me and what I wanted to have your opinion on
Oh
as
yeah,
well,
you're
right?
asking about whether these right wing channels. Do you have like an example, like about what they're
I
saying on
know,
that?
yeah. So our channel
Do you have
favorite,
like a
the
tweet or something?
no, not tweets, just videos, because I have subscribed to those channels, right? So
I'm sorry to have to ask you this. Can you put like on screen?
yeah, hold on. No,
You might have to
what
make
I'll
like
do?
separate profiles.
I will open one of our channel's most famous people, the Jaipur dialogues, right? I
If you want to edit it in post, I think that could work. But like,
No, no, no. What I'll do this time, because I have a second monitor, I'll open the page directly and then pull it on the main screen,
fine.
so that I don't show anything weird. Because I
Cool,
showed
cool.
my bookmarks last time. Anyway, what is it? Jaipur dialogues. Jaipur dialogues. What they so as
Is
I'm
this the Sanjay guy?
yeah, the ex IES officer, the
Sanjay is something. Dikshit,
not
Dikshit,
s-
something
yes,
Dikshit.
I
Sanjay
am
Dikshit.
not sure, but yeah, hold on. He live streams a lot. He live streams almost like twice a day.
Would you be able to like stream it to me, or would it have to be like one or the other?
Okay, the thing is, I
Because I don't
might
know.
have I might have remembered wrong. Okay, so here what I'll do is I will put it on the main screen, and then let's switch to OBS. Mr. OBS, where are you? Let's switch to.
because you need
Why is
three
the
inputs,
time?
right? One is the application, one is your camera feed, and one is this thing, window like desktop capture or window capture.
Yes, hold on. So I have opened the this. Okay, yeah. So let me fit them on the page. So what I wanted to this guy especially, like I am not able to find. So maybe it is a thing of that he live streams and then he releases these shorter videos as well, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
but I got, because somehow the notifications are all automatically enabled. I got a lot of notifications of like him talking about this issue, about the Adani thing, right? Because I felt like a lot of like panels that he had
Mhm.
about, like, it was like almost always he's doing a panel on how Modi is being attacked, how Adani is being attacked,
Yeah, this
like,
is Modi Khatre mein hai, sort of ancillary to Hindu culture.
yeah, so this okay, BBC. Oh yeah, yeah. But this is the guy. This, do you remember? So originally, when you told me, so how I came to know about this issue at all
Mhm.
was you sent me a tweet by his Twitter.
Oh yeah, wait. Is it
It
the
was
same
his.
one?
It is his Twitter that
Him,
you sent.
the poor man was coping. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, uh, decoding Hindenburg. One second, got it. Decoding Hindenburg report thread. Uh,
Yes.
do I read
Yes.
it
Yes.
or like
Yes.
what do I do?
Hold on. So I will also open it. This guy is especially like I don't know how many bad words I can use, but he
As
like
long as none of them are
especially
slurs, I
bootlicking
think we are
behavior.
fine.
Huh?
I think as long as none of them are slurs, I think it's fine.
Yeah, this is dick sucking
My
behavior. Is what
That's
I wanted
fine.
to say. This is
I
so this was before anything. This was like I think this was like very beginning, very
This
initially.
is right at the start. This is January 28th.
Right, right, and this is like yeah, oh listen, oh, wo is Gautam Adani, one of world's largest industries, has lost a significant portion of his net worth. Okay, and yes, and
Let us begin. A malicious campaign is being unleashed against India and its growing financial prowess. A dirty and nefarious propaganda has been initiated by Hindenburg Research, which is an American company. The false and baseless allegations leveled by them against the Adani Group reek of their growing insecurities and jealousy about India. An Indian rising up against the West wasn't easily digested by these evil sharks and thus resorted to a smearing campaign. On January 24, 2023, a report titled Adani Group, how the world's third richest man is pulling the largest con in corporate history was released. Adani Group lost billions of dollars in the market over the next 2 days. Gautam Adani, one of the world's richest industrialists, has also lost a significant portion of his net worth as a result of the report. According to Hindenburg Research, Adani Group has engaged in, quote, brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud schemes over decades, end quote. The Adani Group has been falsely accused by the organization, which itself has a shaky ground of committing significant offences. They said the offences included not only stock manipulation, but also money laundering, generation of false income, and the theft of cash owed to the government, as mentioned in the Hindenburg research report. So now he goes into how Hindenburg is actually, I don't know, bad,
yeah.
Jewish.
So that was like the first knee jerk reaction was to try and be like, oh, Hindenburg is also not like, it's a glass house, and they should not throw stones
Yeah,
at others.
this is standard. Like this is it. It almost speaks to sort of lack of imagination when your standard reaction to corporate fraud is the same that is a standard reaction to like a crime against a Muslim. What about Ray?
Yeah, that is, yeah,
Like
that is like the worst. That is like the like
no.
okay.
The thing is, it's not just that what about Ray is like dishonest, irritating, etc.
Yeah, but
It
it's
is that
also
what
very
about
weak.
yeah, but like it's just waterboarding is like it's just the approach hasn't changed. They just had to try to find a way to make it work for corporate fraud. You know?
Yes. And that's the thing. Everyone who's like who's operating at that level of money, all of them are like corrupt and dishonest and like you know uh, greedy and like of course that's how they operate. And I guess not to belabor the point, but yes, I do feel like at this point, like this is sort of a like a veil has been pulled apart moment where it's not even anything about national interest. It's not even anything about if you claim something about welfare of Hindus and promotion of Hinduism and rise of India as blah 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 blah. Like it is so transparently, nationalism is so transparently a tool for them that they appropriate for whatever reason, that like
Nationalism is always been a tool. There's
yeah.
nothing.
Hmm?
Nationalism has always been a tool for them. This is nothing.
Yes, yeah, but that's the thing, right? Because for a lot of people, because
I
even
think it is. I think it's
yeah,
very nakedly pro corporate propaganda.
And that's the thing. And it is because even when I watch like counter pieces to channels like the Apo Dialogues, and there's of course I've started watching a channel called Sham Sharma Show. I don't watch his coverage of this, and I did watch his coverage of
How much
Pathaan.
crying was involved?
Crying, like victimization, right? Yeah, that's their.
हिंदू खतरे में है.
No, but that's the
I don't
thing.
know.
I will talk about Sham Sharma more when we talk about Pathaan. But right now, this for at least a lot of other channels as well. When I see counter pieces from channels like Dhruv Rathi and what is it, Deshbhakt, right? So for them, they say this is like, as you mentioned, nationalism is just a tool for like pro corporate interest. But they say that, oh, there is a good kind of nationalism and there's a bad kind of nationalism, and this is the bad kind of nationalism that they're doing,
Yeah.
right? And that,
I
yeah,
disagree. I get it.
sorry.
I disagree, but I get it.
Yeah, because I feel like they also do it to not alienate their core audience, because their whole thing is, because this is the thing, this is something that I wanted to touch fully on, like on a video essay, but here also we can talk about it. Their whole thing is that there is a middle ground, right? That if only media was neutral, if only media was unbiased, if only media was apolitical, okay, then there would not have been any problem. And my issue with that is, why wouldn't it, right? Why, if there are, it's a business which is selling news, and if they get money for selling particular type of news, they will sell that news, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this whole thing about, oh, media just should be unbiased, media should be, they should not have opinion pieces. What they are doing are opinion pieces. The problem is not that they should be just objective, because there are sources of just objective reporting as well. No matter, channels like Doordarshan is state run, but still I would say that if you want just dry news headlines without commentary, just watch Doordarshan or just tune into AIR FM radio, right? They give you just dry, every hour they give you the top 10 headlines without any commentary, without any opinions, right? Just
Right.
do that, or just read certain newspapers, it's fine. That's not the issue. Is not that all media has bias. Everyone has bias. It is it is like trying to understand why, like trying to deconstruct those biases, instead of simply saying, okay, if they say you should be biased about X, then we should be biased about Y, and that is how we will achieve equality, or that is how we will achieve peace, or like a semblance of civil society. So what do you say about that?
I don't know. I, I don't know. My general idea is that a lot of nationalism because of the nature of this country as like a country which has fought against, like its genesis as like a sort of anti-imperial entity fighting against like British colonialism, etc. Nationalism kind of has been a sort of nationalism has kind of been accepted
Mm-hmm.
in ways that a lot of other countries it would not be accepted. I remember like it's. I mean, this is like maybe this is the most stereotypical example, but I remember talking to a friend and they were genuinely like surprised when I told them that in uh, here in movie theaters we play the national anthem before movies
Yeah.
or plays
Yep.
or like that kind of thing. The US doesn't have that. The US has it in sports events, and that also kind of happened before as a sort of reaction to 9/11. So this is
Yeah.
very recent.
Yeah. And in
And
fact,
even then it
yeah.
is considered, and even then a lot of people consider it as a sort of this thing, like a sort of remnant of the Bush era
Hmm.
jingoistic nationalism.
Yeah.
Here
Hmm.
it's generally not considered like there's no like significant group of people who consider this like a big deal. It maybe a lot of people do consider it kind of bad when, like, for example, occasionally people are beat up for not standing up for the national anthem. But I don't think there's like a movement of that size which considers the national anthem being played at all as like some kind of uh, state
Mandated thing.
despotism.
Yes, but because in India we don't call it nationalism, we simply call it patriotism,
Patriotism.
right? So
Right.
now it is like, of course, why would you not be a patriot? Why would you not be a Deshbhakt, right? Why, what else? If you're not Indian, then what else are you,
No,
right?
I guess part of it is because of that kind of like tie-in to our identity. If people like that is a thing that a lot of people a lot of people like do identify, especially like people of maybe not the older generation, but like a lot of people in general. I would say maybe it's not even a generational thing. Uh, but I guess I guess maybe I'm more charitable to Akash and Dhruv than you are.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the general idea is that it is going to be hard to it is going to be harder to have your audience on side if you're going to argue that nationalism is itself bad. So a lot of people have had to have this have had to play this like monkey balancing game where you have to say this is bad and this is bad and this is nationalism, but there is a sort of good nationalism
Hmm.
which has you do, like, for example, criticize your country, like, but that is a factor that has been there in any kind of like nation,
Right.
especially a nation which is not typically united by ethno factors.
Yeah. And in fact, that is why it also, like, for a lot of people, it's alienating because at the ground reality, not everyone feels the obligation or the intrinsic urge, right? To, as you said, that for a lot of people, it's not even, I don't know about if it's a generational thing or not, but it's definitely a geographic thing because there are different levels of this that, like, if you go towards the extremities of our landmass, you will find that the nationalism thins out quite a bit, right?
Sure, yeah.
Especially towards this, yeah.
It concentrates much more at cities and things like that.
Yeah, and not like, yeah. So if you look at India's geography broadly, I have been to the, like, I have been to Srinagar and Jammu, and I am living right now in the southern parts. So the nationalism, like, it runs thin the further away from the center you get, and in fact, we also know from news and general social media that if you go even towards the northeastern parts, all the China touching Myanmar, Bhutan, Nepal touching
Yes,
states,
your Assam, your Seven Sisters, all of
yeah,
those.
the Seven Sisters, yeah. So even there, and it's not even just that it is because of proximity, because a lot of those border states, right, have ASPA there, and so the antagonism towards central government is
Mhm.
extremely high because of that, of course.
Yeah, because when essentially uh, soldiers who have basically carte blanche to do what they want, if that is your symbol of your country doesn't typically tend to be very popular.
Yes. And when you come toward the south, where there isn't like a border state situation, but
But
I,
but the South has strong like linguistic nationalism, sort of.
yes,
Like,
so a lot of identitarianism in the
mhm.
face of like Hindi supremacy, not just Hindi supremacy. That a lot of people are agitated about because there was like a minor news article about some dude in Bangalore going around pulling away those stickers in metro, like metro coaches, which tell that, okay, don't stand near doors. So they were written in Hindi and English, and he was just pulling them off that.
Wait, only written in Hindi and English?
I, I I have not.
Surely it's three, right?
No, there was definitely not enough space to fit three sentences there. It was a very tiny
Oh, yeah.
stick.
Then like it's definitely a bad thing, but I get it.
Yeah. So I am sort of kind of sympathetic in the sense that people do feel alienated. I don't think that it is so he's not doing anything like violent. He's just it's vandalism. It's fine. He has
Mhm.
been caught and charged and he has publicly apologized. That chapter is over. But yeah, so those are the reasons why the nationalism thins out. The more you go towards the extremities,
The
there are
further
different.
east and the further like south.
Yeah, so that the its circumstances change, and
Sure,
how
sure.
much of the central government cares about the vote bank also changes. And in such scenarios, right? So people just imagine those people. Just imagine people who are like in Kashmir, who have been who were put under martial law for like a 2 years, and there's just no internet, no connectivity to the outside world, and so on. And then they're like, oh, let's watch a movie if we are able to. I right, and then you go there
No,
and
as far as I know, have they opened up
I don't know,
cinemas?
but imagine, I don't know,
No,
but
no. I
yeah.
get what you're saying. I get like it. Obviously, there would be a lot of antipathy. You cannot really expect people to celebrate the symbols of a government whose agents have been,
Yeah,
have
they have
have directly negatively impacted your life.
yes, they
To
have
to
actively
euphemize
destroyed.
it very heavily.
Yeah, they have actively committed crimes against them, their families, their like people they know, their neighbors, and like they have seen it happen with their own eyes, and they're like, oh yeah, stand for the national anthem, by the way, right? And
Yeah,
but the thing is, like the channels that I mentioned, right? These will not talk like this because it has been established so clearly that this is an anti-national sentiment if you have a problem with standing up for the national anthem, right? And
I
of
don't
course,
know.
yeah. But
Maybe
of course there is of course this thing that okay, what about freedom? What about the freedom to not participate in an ideology that you don't agree with, all right? Or public expression, public speech, even not speaking is an expression of speech, right? So what about that? And that is the thin line. There, that is that line, tightrope that they try to walk. Is that okay? There are personal freedoms, but of course we are all patriots here. Of course, it should be okay to not stand for the national anthem, but it is also not a bad thing to like. It's a weird double thing kind of a thing.
I wouldn't
In
call it double think as much as it is just it's just a question of a sort of identity crisis. Maybe not crisis, but a sort of a sort of conflict with your where your identity as like an Indian and your identity as like anything else, whether you are depending on your like political beliefs, etc. Where those when those come into conflict, you kind of try to cope is not the right word, but I cannot think of any other.
yeah.
Like you have to kind of try to like
Like make do
like
like yeah, just figure
like you
out
have to
yeah.
kind of figure out a way that both these identities can exist at once.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
it's not something it's something a lot of people do.
Hmm.
It's something it's something like it's very very common in terms of like when it comes to liberals, because liberals I and when I say liberals I mean like social liberals.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily mean like capitalists.
Hmm.
uh, it's something when it comes to like liberals and like religious extremists. There's a sort of tension that often comes up if your religion says one thing but liberal values say another.
Exactly. That's
And
yeah. That's I agree. That's a big
but it's
point.
just
Yeah.
like but I think it's something that most people just actually do. Most people are not actually most people like this, and this is something that is generally borne out in data in countries where there aren't like significant scale dips. Um, most people do have this kind of uh, most not countries sorry most people do have this do kind of manage the tension.
Hmm.
Like it's there, it never goes.
Hmm.
You don't it, and for most people, it usually doesn't end up in renouncing one or the other.
Yes.
And I don't know if maybe it's not logical, but nobody said humans are logical species 100% of the time.
Yes. So one example of like another thing that came to mind while I was talking about the standing for national anthem thing and how that might conflict is another example that if any of you have watched the 26th January tableau parade for the states, the one thing that like my mom noticed first and then like even people at the print pointed it out, that almost all the state tableaus had like either Hindu deities or Hindu temples front and center. And even Kashmir, like they had a tableau for Jammu and Kashmir, and their what they had on it was the Amarnath temple, right? And that for me is a moment of such staggering cognitive dissonance. They could have just not done a tableau for JNK. That would have been better than this. It is weird. It's because it's not like
No,
I see. Yeah.
this I would argue is much more of like an active statement rather than a passive
Yes.
sort of.
So if you assume good faith, then they should not have done it. But if you if you understand this as you said, like a proper political statement of like a Hindu supremacist political statement, then yes, right. And this is like a full like I don't know. There have been so many moments in the past couple of months where I've been like, if people are watching this, if people have been consistently watching news or even going on social media and seeing what's happening, and they if they just put two and two together, this becomes so transparent that yes, like these people's ideologies are not egalitarian at all. This is not about sabka saath sabka vikas. It's not about desh badal raha hai and all that, right? This is very subtly trying to toe the line, and I feel like this is like just laying groundwork for more extremist ideologies to get mainstreamed further down the line, because I feel like these people know the thing that I've been talking about in the past many episodes. This underground boiling Hindu nationalist, not Hindu nationalist seems like too soft a word, like Hindu fanatical movement that is like broiling under the surface of the general population, especially among young men in India, right? I feel like these guys know that. Like the BJP people know that, and they're like,
It's that's okay.
hmm?
That's okay.
Sorry, I did not
That is
get
their
it.
cadre.
Yes, but it is, but those people are actually anti BJP. They're like BJP and Modi are too soft.
Yeah, but
They're,
like I think they will stand with them for now.
yes, yes. So unless it is a matter of right wing or extremely right wing, they are like just biding time. And I think BJP guys know this, and they are like trying to present, right, trying to be how do you
It's
say, rhetorically sympathetic, that okay, please don't kill us, we'll step aside, you can come in, it's fine.
it's it's actually somewhat analogous to I don't know, maybe it's not. Like I like when you said it, I just thought of how
God will serve.
how the American
No, okay.
Republicans are kind of doubling down on anti-trans laws
Hmm.
and things like that, even after it has been like proven that anti-trans laws are, if not if not a problem for your electoral prospects, at least at minimum they don't help, and they typically are make your electoral prospects worse. But they still have continued even after the 2022 like midterm elections. They have still continued to actually push this whole idea of a lot of like anti-trans kind of laws, and obviously a lot of because Trump recently gave a speech about how you know he will like ban conversion. He will ban transition like gender affirming care, and he would like remove all teachers who talk about like transness or something, etc., etc. You might have.
Yeah, same old, same old.
but the point is not that he's saying it. I mean, it is kind of that he's saying it, but like a bigger point is that like they are continuing with this tack if even if it is like electorally problematic. And I guess this is just a bigger version of that because I don't know, because maybe because it is not as electorally problematic here, but maybe it is like
I
things like
think
that.
at least the Republicans are more mask off about their more extremist positions, because even now, if I watch people like the print who, like, they do the cricket commentary version of
I
news.
mean, Adityanath's a chief minister. Pragya Thakur is a member of parliament. I don't know how much more mask off you need to be here. Well, I'm sure I
But
guess
at the
that.
center, right? Because at the center, their rhetoric is still more about this progressing India economically, at least, or
Oh
like
yeah,
building
yeah,
infrastructure.
yeah. Then they're less stupid than the Republicans.
Yes, but for now, I feel like, because I feel like for now this is like something
But
that they're
but,
like,
but Republic Day parade thing, like that was very subtle, but I don't think that was accident. That was
yeah,
like
definitely not.
definitely like
The
that
decision
was definitely
to
meant to be a stake.
the decision to include JNK in your parade and just put Amarnath temple, just slap an Amarnath temple effigy on it and run it. It is not a decision that just happens, right? There's a lot of, because there's this whole process, because there's a approval processes, draft processes, and states can opt out. It's as simple as that. States can
And
simply
Jammu and
not.
Kashmir, strictly speaking, is not a state at this point.
Wait, is it is it still not? What the
It is
whole,
still not.
even after the revoking the Article 370 thing?
Yeah, the revoking the Article 370 made Jammu and Kashmir a union territory. Basically.
A what?
Yeah, that is what happened. Jammu and Kashmir is not a state anymore.
Oh my god. This is so complicated. This is all, yeah, I guess then still they showed it and they still are like, yeah, yeah, come to JNK for the Amarnath temple. Oh my god. But yeah, I think this is this whole process that, like, this is a transition which I don't think they are planning to be a part of directly, but they are planning to be in favor of the people that will replace them once, like, this has become a, the critical mass.
So you're assuming a sort of nation level Night of the Long Knives, Reichstag fire level control. I mean,
You don't
Godwin's
need
law, but
you don't
whatever.
need the whole nation. That's what we had been talking about a couple of episodes
Right, I
back.
agree. But yeah, but like
It's
a significant portion, obviously. When I say whole nation, I don't mean every person. I mean every place.
I don't think they'll be able to do it in every place, but I do
But
think they'll be.
major enough places.
Yes.
You might have a few places, but it will be enough. But like general, every place like will either have like a takeover or at least like a sort of civil war, right? Things like that.
A civil
Mm.
war happens if there is resistance. That I am not so sure about a resistance being put up,
I,
but
I, I mean, if like because this, I mean, if the South has its sort of own kind of identity, that might be the fact.
yes. And so what I am talking about is not something that's happening soon, in the sense of, like, okay, the next election cycle or anything. 10 years down the line, this is all a very gradual, like, it's like a exponential curve. It is very slow in the beginning and then it is extremely high. So if you plot
But this is like build up to the moment, especially like the Republic Day thing, etc.
to the what?
Like this is like your ideas. This is like a build up. This is the kind of groundwork you have to do
Yes,
before.
especially in India, because people are tired of electoralism, and that is, like, I am tired of electoralism. People, everybody is like, it's like, it has been a truism for decades in India that, oh, this is all vote bank. This is all vote bank politics. It's all about sort of appeasing people, appeasement politics, and all that, right?
Yeah, but when people say appeasement. when people say appeasement, they don't really mean appeasement in general. They mean appeasement of people they don't like. The standard argument is minority appeasement.
Yes. So people, but here's the thing: it is appeasement all around. It says all around the table. It is an
Of course, it
appeasement.
is, but when people say they want X, they don't actually want X. They want X, but not for other people.
Yes, exactly. So they would want something like, okay, but that this whole like we started out with this whole set of policies for minorities, for women, for like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, all that, right? And so now, of course, their rallying cry is why not for us? Why not this, but for us, right? And then why not centering us, like centering upper class Hindu, like visibility in the sense of like why are we demonized in media by Bollywood, right? This, I guess, is slowly seeping into the Pathaan discussion, but at least here for now, what, because this is it, the whole
No, no, no,
Pathaan
because
thing.
I do because I don't like my thing is I haven't seen I I have to confess I wasn't able to see it.
You've not
So,
seen Pathaan.
no.
That's
Uh,
perfectly fine because everything that people are talking about Pathaan has nothing to do with the movie itself.
Excellent,
Okay.
excellent, 100%. But like the idea that the general Hindu right wing complaint against Bollywood is that it is too Muslim and that it is too out of touch. Haven't really seen it as being like caste hatred. Caste hatred is usually an allegation pushed against like Tamilian cinema because a lot of
Hmm.
Dravidian because of the influence of Dravidian politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but
But
even Varun, not Varun, I keep Dhruv Rathi. So he is his video on Pathaan, I think. Not exactly his video on Pathaan, but like I watched again the Sham Sharma thing of on Pathaan, and he brought up a lot of clips from Deshbhakt and this Rathi guy. So he like at one point was saying that, okay, yeah, have you ever noticed that a lot of main characters in Bollywood movies are dudes with upper caste Hindu names, right? Like Malhotra or Sharma and Tripathi and whatever, so on and so forth. So he's like, yeah, like this is sort of also problematic. Is so that is I don't so that is
yeah,
no longer
but that's like a second order critique. You're like you're a critic, but that means Bollywood is actually pro upper caste. I
yes.
don't know.
Yeah, that is the cognitive dissonance. That okay, is it pro upper caste or is it pro Muslim? It's nothing. It's
No,
a media
no, I mean
machine.
it can be both. I mean, but like whatever.
It's a media machine that tries to follow trends so that it makes the maximum profit possible, because unlike other product businesses, their products are single time consumables, and they need to turn them into multi time consumables, and they have a very small time window in which their profits on a particular product are made.
It's just standard YouTuber kind of stuff. Like
Yes.
you have
So
to train chase and things.
yeah, so within the first couple of weeks of a movie, the movie should be hit, right? And so to make that, of course, they'll try to follow trends. They'll try to follow, okay, what is the public temperament about certain social issues and what are like the hot button issues right now? Would we make more money if we are contrarian about them, or would we make more money by supporting the majority view on them? Right? There's this whole like all of these decisions are taken like in a boardroom, like at least for the bigger, like the mainstream Bollywood movies, right? These are not
I mean, sure, but I mean, okay. I don't know how that relates, but go ahead.
because the allegation, of course, because so the reason, okay, so okay, let's come down to the Pathaan topic fully. The
I guess
allegation,
with
yeah,
I guess with Pathan, I guess with Bollywood, this a lot of this just seems like because so much of Bollywood is upper caste. That is why
hmm,
they don't think of storylines that are like I mean, that is why the first name they think of when they name a character is like Malhotra,
hmm,
Sharma.
yeah,
It is like I don't think there is like this is like a boardroom thing.
hmm,
I but I like. but I do think this is just the kind
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah. So
like
let me clarify.
representation kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, let me clarify. When I was talking about the boardroom thing, I don't think I was not talking about the caste thing, because that is a lens of analysis. As you say, that's a matter of what is normalized in society. So of course, in a particular industry, if it is mostly, as you mentioned, upper caste individuals, then of course they're based on their lived experiences, the stories that they come up with, and the characters that they come up with, and the characterizations they form are of course going to be guided by that. Yes, okay. I was more talking about the Hindu versus Muslim kind of a thing.
I guess,
Because
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
I guess the idea that Bollywood is too Muslim friendly is like, yeah. Now I have to stop myself from using ableist slurs. Um, it is very stupid because I mean Bollywood has had its own problems with like Muslim stories. I mean, there is like the stereotypical, good Muslim, bad Muslim. As actually, uh, uh, as an example, uh, a recent movie. Maybe we should probably not get into discussing two movies at once. But like the stereotypical idea of there is a good Muslim is nationalistic and
No, you can
patriotic,
mention
and
the movie, because even I have not watched Pathaan. I don't have a lot of to say
the
about
movie
that.
is called Faraz. It's Hansal
Okay,
Mehta,
okay.
and it's basically a sort of dramatization of a 2016 attack in this thing, a 2016 terrorist attack in Dhaka
Okay.
by five ISIS Islamists, ISIS extremists.
Hmm.
And basically one guy kind of like, and this was like like a very upper class kind of place, so
Hmm.
like this was like very fancy, and basically these guys walked in and they killed all the foreigners and they killed all the like non-Muslims and etc. Anyway,
Hmm.
the point is, because this is made, because the idea of a good Muslim versus bad Muslim has been like a Bollywood thing for quite a while, because there is a good Muslim like who is patriotic,
Hmm.
who is kind of you know, like patriot basically.
Hmm.
And there is the bad Muslim who is terrorist and loves Pakistan,
Hmm.
loves I don't know,
Yeah,
and
and
loves like Islam, etc. Like not loves Islam, like, you know what I mean.
that's its own. I feel like can of worms, that whole idea of the good Muslim in the Indian context, and
Yeah, I guess
but
it's a
yeah,
separate argument exactly. But
yeah.
like I just don't know who. I don't know where the logic has come from, because I think yeah, oh yeah, sorry, shit. I just remembered. There was this some poor guy had to make some guy made a video about how Chaya Chaya is
Oh
Muslim
yeah,
conversion propaganda by
yeah.
just
Yes, of
listing
course.
out every Urdu word that plays in the song.
Yes. Hold
I
on.
think Urdu is kind of the big thing because so
I
much
can
of
pull it up. Hold on. I know the name of the page. I don't know if it's a new page or not, but it's definitely
but I
getting
remember saying like, fuck. It's one of those gems of Bollywood kind
Gems
of
of
things.
Bollywood.
Yes,
It is
exactly.
exactly Gems of Bollywood. And hold on, because they have a lot of gems themselves. And I think this is a pretty old one. Hold on. I will just search by Gems of Bollywood. Chaya only.
This
Uh,
was in January as far as I know.
yeah, yeah. So I found a reply, because they don't mention the song name correctly.
Yeah. So
Uh,
like, but then you can just like scroll up because wow, that was next level.
that
I
was
think I
awesome,
think
dude.
when
I
people
loved it.
talk about like quote unquote Islamization of Bollywood, they generally refer to you know Urdu,
Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
which is why
So,
a typical sort of slur for Bollywood is Urdu, because apparently there is too much Urdu in my uh, nationalist media.
yeah, yeah. So I found the tweet. So what I'll do is I will uh, send the tweet to you, so you can also read it. I can't share the screen today, but hold on.
Look through it. I remember what it was. because of it. Like
Yeah,
because I remember every single fucking word like shows up. Every single Urdu word is kind of Chaya Chaya by Gulzar, a Sufi conversion song inspiring Pindi wearing girls to accept
yeah,
the kalma
yeah.
while dancing with Shah Rukh.
Are you reciting this by memory?
No, I am. I just opened it.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah. But yes, this is the gem by Gems of Bollywood. Oh yeah, oh I now see because I didn't actually pay attention to this video because the text itself was so idiotic to me. But yeah,
No, but
somebody
now
had
the
to.
every single word that has been used in Urdu, it shows up like in list. Like when he says Jannat, and then he says Jannat, and then he says shit. What else?
Hold on,
Then he
let me
says
just play it out.
Urdu, and then he says Kainat, and then he says Tabiz, and then he says Ayat, and it's
Yes,
like
then Iman, then
he's
Kalma,
just
then.
listing every single.
Oh yeah. Oh, one refrain of the song is jo Kalma Kalma, right? And he has
Mera
listed
nagma
out
nagma,
every
mera
time it
kalma
says
kalma.
Kalma.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's written
yeah.
Kalma every time it is said. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. So at the end of it, you can kind of it just reads like in the background like Chaya Chaya is playing, and it is written like Jannat Jannat Urdu Kainat
Yeah, yes.
Tabiz ayat Iman Kalma 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 Jannat
Yes.
Jannat Urdu Kainat.
Yes. This is either some underpaid dude on Fiverr they've hired or like next level mental illness. This
No, this is crazy. It's apparently putting random Urdu words, and they're saying like Chaya Chaya by Gulzar, as if
yes. Yeah.
because they don't because and then I realized, oh my god, they don't know Gulzar's real name.
uh,
Sampuran Singh Kalra, by the way.
yeah, he and
Gulzar's a Sikh.
yes, that's what I was
I
about
don't
to
know if
say.
he's a Sikh or he's just like Punjabi Hindu,
He
but like
might be just Punjabi Hindu, I think, yeah.
but like
But he's definitely not practicing
he
that.
just used Urdu, and it's like he just listed every word which even sounds like Urdu.
Yeah, and that's the like next like I feel like this sort of thing like this got a lot of traction. I don't know if this was like the reactions which are like okay how stupid this is or was it genuinely people agreeing to it?
I think a lot of the reaction online was definitely people calling it very stupid. But I think a lot of people do this thing. I think a lot of people called it stupid mainly because it was kind of lucky enough to be building up in the hype of Pathaan, which is to be fair, also why he put it up at this time
Yes.
for like maximum engagement.
Yes. No, but here that's the thing. So this is what I wanted to actually talk about regarding the Sham Sharma show, right? Because when I watched his coverage of this, it was like a 20-minute video. One very beautiful thing that that guy does is he's like, oh no, we don't agree with all those crazy people who are saying that okay, Deepika Padukone wearing an orange bikini is an insult to Hinduism, or who are trying to frame Chaiya Chaiya as a like Muslim conversion song. So these guys are like scapegoats. These guys are like, oh no, we don't agree. Of course we don't think all this is like a an actual substantive criticism. We don't agree with that. But just look at the makeup of the people who are running Bollywood. Have you noticed that a lot of them are actually descendants from immigrants from Pakistan, which actually have, like, during partition? They have still living relatives there. In like this is the Muslim version of JQ posting, basically. Okay, this is them not saying that oh
Yeah, yeah. It's easy. I guess it's easy to point to like it is what is called sane washing.
what washing,
Sane washing.
sane washing. Oh yeah,
You have
basically.
like you show off like the crazy people, and
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
say I am not the crazy people,
yes.
but I am just asking like why. But you kind of support one of the inherent like assumptions held by the crazy.
Yes, so you give those people two and two, and they can make four in their head themselves.
Yes, because it worked very well for a certain certain Canadian psychologist professor.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yes, he's
No,
no
but the thing is,
longer.
it has worked. It has
Yes,
worked.
yes, and that's what they're trying to replicate here. They're like, okay, listen, of course, like the boardroom thing, right? So when I said the boardroom thing, people think it's conspiratorial. It's not. There are marketing teams and production houses, and those are also involved in the kind of stories that get picked up to, because they invest crores and crores of rupees into these big movies. They of course have a screening process for what tone that the movie is going for,
Sure,
right?
obviously.
And so that's the boardroom, that's it. But they're like, of course we don't think there's a boardroom that sits around thinking, okay, like how do we insult Hindus today, how do we damage Hindutva today. Of course we don't think that. But like you look at these people like Saif Ali Khan, who have relatives in Pakistan and who talk about that they try to make movies that are not too critical of Pakistan. And what do you make of that, you know? What so so it's basically this whole they're like, just being quiet, and quiet enough so that they appear rational, they appear to be very analytical and very observant, that oh, they are so aware of everybody's family history and
No, because I think it is just a question of pointing at lol cows and then trying to be like, actually, maybe there is something in this, like making this as a sort of business model. Huh?
Yeah, but that's the thing. So what they do is they say that, okay, maybe what they are saying or doing exactly is crazy, but don't you think it's a natural reaction to a very real thing that is happening? Right? Don't you think that
Right.
it is a natural reaction? Because they try to present both sides as natural instincts. So when they imply that, okay, if there are a lot of actors or actresses whose family came to India during the partition who were in erstwhile
I think
Pakistan.
that like supporting Pakistan is some kind of genetic.
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. So they think that, okay, their family
It's
ties.
like the Kangna thing. The big Kangna. I think
Oh
it
yeah,
was a
yeah,
tweet or
the
something
tweet that we
where
discussed, like
when
yeah,
she said Hamid Ansari has genes of illegitimacy. Hello.
hello, do you need
Can you
to
hear me?
leave? Yeah, I do hear
No,
you.
no, no. No, I thought this thing.
We're looking
No, I
off
thought.
camera, so I thought somebody's calling you.
No, I
Okay.
was just checking.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I can hear you. And yeah, yeah, that Kangna tweet, right? That,
Yeah, genes of illegitimacy. She's called Hamid Ansari,
yeah,
someone who has genes of illegitimacy.
yeah, yeah. And this whole, so of course, it's like, okay, here's a two where we show all the examples of how historically in Bollywood, Hindu pundits, for example, have been shown in an especially negative light. And that is like something that even my mom was agreeing with, because my mom was like a very big fan of movies when she was growing up. And in the 70s and 80s, and she also talks about how she also noticed this, that in a lot of movies, regardless of who's making them, the Hindu pujari or the Hindu pandit character is always portrayed as like a scummy, like
Yeah,
very uh, scheming and sort of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
ulterior
yeah,
motive kind of a
yeah,
character
yeah,
always,
yeah.
right?
That's right. Because the most like iconic example, there aren't and in comparison there aren't that many movies, but like the most like the most iconic movie in the cinema is uh what's his I don't remember what his name is, but like the guy in Sholay, the guy who loses his son, and then like his son is killed by Gabbar Singh, and then he says he like the guy, like in comparison, the most iconic example of a movie is much more sympathetic.
Yes, right. Yeah. So there's this whole thing about, okay, yeah. And so here's the thing. I do not deny trends or biases. That's the thing that don't fall into. I don't get into this evidential debate, because I do not trust. It's the same thing as representation. Then we come to Hollywood, right? We look at like Hollywood movies that are like, oh, this is for black people because there's a black character here, and like, okay, so of course, like I feel like the people who comment on it uh, also point out that this is like, of course, a cynical bid for like the representation quota, right? Just to like get on that
I think
hype
this
train.
is technically true, but practically, I don't think we have much a whole lot in terms of I mean, like a representation sort of bias.
Yeah, no, I'm just drawing an
Like
analogy that,
there are not
yeah.
going to be as many people. Like people will not care as much if a movie doesn't have Muslim characters or does have Muslim characters but which are heavily stereotyped. Mission Buffalo got a release. That movie is like never mind. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it.
Which movie?
The movie called Mission Majnu. It's
Vishnu.
about a Majnu, like
Majnu.
Lala Majnu.
Okay.
The movie is basically about a sort of Indian spy in like the 70s or something. And I don't know when Pakistan's nuclear program happened, but basically the Indian spies sort of investigating that. And because this is Bollywood, he also falls in love with a Pakistani girl. That's a kind of sort of that's a sort of loose plot.
Yeah.
The But like a lot of things, like for example, the Pakistanis are not portrayed as like everyone is wearing like surma. Like normal people, like on the road, normal people are like wearing surma, and they are everyone is talking in like your Lucknowi like Urdu, like adab and all of that stuff, you know.
Hmm.
And like it is the most blatant stereotyping of Muslims like I have seen in my life. Like like because
Yeah.
and like people complained like online, but like this there wasn't like a significant backlash against it from like
Hmm.
organized groups.
Hmm.
Most people complained partially because the movie was also shit, but like there wasn't like a backlash against it because it portrayed Muslims who are at this point at least about 13 to 14% of the population,
Hmm.
you know
Yeah.
like because
Yeah. Hmm.
because I mean black people I don't think are that much of the population in the US. They might be. I don't
I mean,
remember.
that's the famous 1350
Oh yeah,
standard.
13, exactly. But like shit, but I think if a mainstream Hollywood movie or even like a less mainstream Hollywood movie
Hmm.
actively just depicted all black people as like you know like gangsters who eat fried chicken and are lazy and
Yeah,
the
yeah. The whole
stereotypical sort
stereotype.
of
Yeah.
anti-black sort of stereotypes, I think there would be more backlash.
Yeah, I don't. So,
Chip-
what my initial point was not about that representation there and representation here. What I was talking about is representation there and sympathies here. The sympathies of the story, right? Because as you mentioned, because there's a lot of characters, a lot of the time where it's like, okay, that person started out as like sort of anti-national and then had a change of heart and switched teams, and at the end put his nation above his religion, but not really, as you mentioned, right? That, oh, not really, not, it's not really counter to his religious belief to be patriotic, right? So doing this whole thing, I feel like that's a conscious choice. That's this whole I feel like a template of story is there, that okay, we will put a character in this position in this situation, and this will how their arc should go. If the arc goes otherwise, then we are taking a risk, right? Because even in this movie, even in Pathaan, the one line summary that everyone is talking about is, because it's not like a story heavy movie, it's mostly an action movie, is that section. So the movie starts with the Section 370 in JNK getting revoked. Then a Pakistani general sees that, decides to retaliate against India, but retaliate like toward to the whole of India, and he hires a gun for hire, like a mercenary, who happens to be an ex-raw agent. And when I read that, I was like, wait, hold on, isn't this like a James Bond plot? This is
yeah,
like,
this is a golden eye.
huh?
It's golden eye.
Yeah, and I think there are multiple movies that are
Except
like that.
because the 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 villain being like a guy who was formerly on the same team as the heroes is definitely golden eye. Except in golden eye, it's a twist. Here, it's right at the start.
And
Um,
also, if you watched like the Daniel Craig movies, I think this is also the plot of Skyfall, in which Javier Bardem was the villain.
Oh yeah, right.
Right. So
That one
that
is also
person
there.
was also, his character is also an ex MI6
Who
agent.
was MI6 agent who was betrayed by the this thing,
Q.
the main
Yeah.
um,
The
MM.
M. Sorry, not Q. M. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and also another similarity to that was that he became an international terrorist mercenary. That he formed this whole organization, which is like a terrorists for hire, right?
Right.
So, and then I was like, okay, wait, why don't we talk about that? But okay, let's get past that. And then it's okay. Shah Rukh Khan comes in as the raw agent that is like assigned to counter this guy. And then comes in Deepika Padukone as the ISI agent that is, I don't know, assigned or if it just happens that they collaborate against.
Mhm.
So it's Deepika Padukone as ISI agent, Shah Rukh Khan as raw agent, team up against John Abraham, which is like the gun for hire, who has been hired by a Pakistani general, right? So it's
Mhm.
so, and of course they fall in love and whole. Like I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I have not
that is
watched that
normal.
movie,
Again.
right? And it's still, so everybody's like this whole,
But note
yeah,
one thing.
hmm,
It's a Pakistani general.
yes.
This is not the Pakistani government.
How far is that? Like, I mean,
Significant. There is a difference between saying that some
yes, yes,
Pakistanis are nutjobs and saying the state of Pakistan is basically anti-India, which
yes.
is something that a lot of people have said. So it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
too
I
far off.
understand what you're saying because that in that because he hires like a third party, he's basically gone rogue. That general is
Yeah, he's gone
putting,
broke. That's the
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Because the mainstream
Good.
mainstream Pakistani position is mostly, as far as I know, the Pickup Adukon's character.
The what?
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
The mainstream Pakistani position like
Hmm.
is much more Deepika Padukone's character,
Which is what?
the ISI.
Yeah, but Deepika Padukone's character has a conscience, so she is not a instrument of the.
No, but
Yeah.
like she's not initially like sorry shit. Yeah, obviously she has a conscience, and you will obviously not have uh, uh, the the ISI agent this thing, but like maybe I guess. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, there's like at points at which your video like freezes and then it suddenly fast forwards to.
Shit. There must be some kind of network issue. Can you turn me off? Does it make it better?
Yeah, no. If you remove video, let's talk a little. If let's see if that fixes it.
Okay, one second.
Uh,
Check.
yeah, check. Uh, what do you want to stay off video for now?
I think we can get better.
Yes. So let me hide this. Yeah. Okay. And let me make the chat bigger. Yeah, and some people, few of my friends have joined. Hi everyone. Sorry, I did not say hi earlier.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Fine, thank you.
I wish I was a bird. Oh god, too many memes. But anyway, yeah, we were talking about this whole thing, right? About the such stories where there is a Pakistan is by default, or like Pakistanis are by default like anti-India, and then there's like some people, some of them with a conscience which come to help. It's like a very common trope, right? And so my point initially was that these are decisions, these are story decisions, right, which have been taken consciously, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't care. This is movies. They like I literally, like, who cares? Okay. But this whole hyper fixation on it, right, cannot be countered by showing counter examples of their it's like other stories, because even in this Sham Sharma video, right, he started off the video by laughing at people who said, "Oh, this is like the most controversial movie in recent times, or like ever, the most controversial movie ever." Right? I think Dhruv Rathi in his video said something like that, which is like,
Yeah, I mean, no, but like that is very typical sort of bait, you know.
yes, exactly. That is a very typical thing for a commentary YouTuber to
Oh
say.
no, but no. I know that is what he will say. I mean, that is very typical for him to say, and that is also very typical for it to be a response. Obviously, it is not the most controversial movie in history.
The reason
It,
why, yeah, the reason why
I
I
think,
got, yeah.
the reason why this guy is calling it out is because he wants to just get like cheap points before pointing for not recognizing hyperbole.
In his hurry to score those cheap dunk points, he
Mhm.
points out, like, he starts off his video by showing a montage of all the movies in recent times which
Mhm.
have been criticized for portraying Muslims negatively, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
he, of course, mentions Kashmir Files. He, of
Mhm.
course, mentions movies like, which are like problematic picturizations. Like, I think, which was it? I think Uri was
Oh yeah,
one of the, right?
Uri. To be fair, although
Yeah.
admittedly I don't know if Uri showed that many Muslims, but okay.
But yeah, so
But it
his
was very much
he
like anti-Pakistan.
yeah, so the funny thing was that he started his video with a whole montage of movies that have not only been like problem or controversial because of the Hindu right wing opposition to them, but because of the liberal media's opposition to them. Okay. And then he goes on to do this whole subtle, rational person being
Same
like,
washing.
yeah, that oh no, that there is, if you look at movies which are like there are so many movies in which this whole trope is being followed of the good Muslim who either starts off as patriotic or turns patriotic, and like it's like and then the Hindu extremists and the Hindu religious figures turn out to be the villains, right? He has this whole montage of how
Mhm.
like patriotic, like he brought up Shaurya, in which
Mhm.
like a one of like the main villain is a general who's too patriotic, and movies like not even movies, like very obscure Netflix show, if you ever heard of it, it's oh my god, I've so
It
it's
is a goal.
basically it's a show which is India's version of The Handmaid's Tale. uh
Leela. Leela.
Leela. No, Leela or Leela? Is it?
Leela.
Yeah, yeah. So
Leila. Leela.
yes, Leila. I'm always confused about how it's pronounced. But yeah, yeah, Leela. Right? He brought up that okay, how it's like the authoritative regime there is like because that movie is like tries to not say words which make it Hindu specific, but the entire presentation is fully Hindu specific, right?
Yeah.
And like he brought up with this whole example that oh no, as you can see that there is a clear trend, there's a clear majority of movies in which this trend is getting followed, right? But the thing is, so here do you understand how this makes sense when the counter examples are useless, because he has co-opted the counter examples already. Okay, it's like that Hindi saying chit bhi meri pat bhi meri. Okay, if there are like okay, if there are like Hindu centric stories, they are in by default minorities and everybody cries about them. Okay, like
Right.
they are
So the thing is,
persecuted.
because I think with because the idea is there are like millions of Bollywood movies. So the examples he the examples he points out are actually the majority, and the examples that I point any opposition points out are actually the minority. But there are so many, that is why they are like overhyped, etc.
Yeah, and just look at how much media cries about them. That also.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you make a patriotic movie, if you make a hyper patriotic movie, look at so many people. Like look at they don't earn anything, and then
They don't
they
have
get
anything.
bad reviews. Like okay, he didn't say that they don't earn anything, but he does. He did like indicate that okay, yeah, people oppose them. That was it. The mainstream opposes it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then he goes on to be like oh one of trying to again dunk on Rathi that that so Dhruv it's Dhruv Rathi, right? I keep forgetting.
Dhruv
Dhruv
Rathi,
Rathi.
yeah.
So he mentioned that, okay, people are bringing up movies from 20, 30 years ago to prove their point of Hindu phobia in Bollywood, right? And he's like, okay, let me show you Hindu phobia in contemporary Bollywood movies, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, so is your thing
So
that, okay, huh?
what was his contemporary examples?
The ones that I mentioned, right? Shaurya had like the
That wasn't Hinduphobia.
so okay, the movies that
That
he
just
brought up. The
the
funny thing is that the movies that he
no,
brought up were
because
not
the thing is, if
really.
you lie, I mean,
That's the funny thing. He did bring up few examples in which Hindu extremism is like, or Hindu fanaticism rather, like people blindly following Hindu leader like Babas and all, right? That the
uh,
main villain turns out to be a Baba in
what,
like
like, oh my god, or
yes,
like PK. To be fair, PK also
yes,
got a lot of
PK.
shit.
Yes, PK, of course, PK, right? And there was another action movie with Ajay Devgn in it, in which he was beating up like a Baba in front of everyone because he was like an Akshay Kumar. Like I don't, so those movies that he brought up, I had not watched. That's why I'm not able to recall those names. But an Akshay Kumar movie, an Ajay Devgn movie, in which like they are. They are teaching a
No,
lesson
no,
to
I think this is just like next level cherry pick, and I don't think
obviously,
it's not even
obviously,
cherry picking. Like it's because in context it might not look as bad, but I don't know. You might make a very dishonest argument that actually the anti-Muslim thing also doesn't look as bad, but I don't know. Very again, this is the kind of thing where it's like, yes, you can make your ideology look very good if you can just.
yeah. And the thing is, the one thing that you caught right with me when I was recalling the examples of Hindu phobic movies that he was bringing up that are in Bollywood, mainstream Bollywood. A lot of the movies that he presented as Hindu phobic were actually critical of Indian government, right?
The
And
Shaurya is mostly he's talking about like Shaurya is basically a remake of uh wait shit what's it
Few Good Men,
uh Few Good Men, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like Shaurya is a remake of A Few Good Men, and
Yes,
like because that is critical not of like a religion, it is critical of like state ideology, nationalism at most you can say, but like
Jingoism, basically a lot of
jingoism,
people,
jingoism,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like to an extent they are tied together, but like the primary focus on uh, the primary focus is not on
On Hindus
the
or
kernel,
Muslims, right?
the kernel being
Hmm.
like a Hindu. if
Hmm.
if this had been like kernel, like if this had been a Muslim kernel, the
Hmm.
point of the story would not have changed. It might have varied slightly in flavor, but like it would not have changed the idea that he is trying to like he is kind of running the camp as a sort of own personal tyranny.
Yes, right. And the movie that he brought up that was the most like telling to me was Heather. So like, and it's like simultaneously, of course he will bring it, but at the same
It's
time,
it's the obvious example, but like it is definitely lying. I think if it is not lying, it is at least being dishonest.
it is
And
being
as
disingenuous. It is being like really like crappy like engagement with media, right? It's like, okay,
yeah,
if you watch that movie and you came away with the idea that it's a Hindu phobic or pro Muslim movie, right? Then you didn't either. I will not believe that you watched it and you are just bringing it up based on trailers that you watched, or somebody in your team has watched it and decided to include it in these examples.
or you read like the Wikipedia article and you just found all the Muslim
Yeah,
and
or
then
you
you
or you went into the movie deciding to that you are going to hate it, and when you after you watch it, you found some reason to hate it,
right,
right?
right.
Like this is so that's what I was talking about. This counter fact does not work on them. They are not here to critically engage with evidence and logic, right? Because of
Yeah,
course,
these are
what
ideologues
yes.
functionally.
Yeah, and not just simply ideologues. They're not even just loyal to their ideologues because they're all selling something. Okay, so Sham Sharma show is selling his Cuckoo.fm thing, which is like
Mhm.
an
I
alternative
mean,
audio.
ads is a different thing. Everybody does ads.
Huh?
It's how you live on YouTube. If like your work, the ads is a different thing because if you work on YouTube, you kind of like
Yeah, no, no.
you kind of have to have like some.
Sponsorships are
I think
different things.
you can
Yeah.
like criticize Cuckoo themselves for sponsoring this guy. Maybe maybe he should like get
Is Cuckoo like a reputable thing?
Cuckoo is a relatively.
Yeah,
It's not.
because
It's not international, but it is very big national. You know.
no, reputable by means because the way that he presented it, the way he advertised it was like, yeah, you can find a lot of books on Savarkar on it, and
Yeah, the thing is they do everything. Like
okay,
because of that, he advertised it as every you can find a lot of books on Saturday because that is what his target audience wants, or at
okay.
least
So,
what
but it's a, like
he
it's a
thinks.
free marketplace of ideas. It's not
It's
because
they just give books. I mean, they just have audiobooks.
because the way that
So
he presented is, I was heavily suspicious that this is like a Hindu right wing version of like alternative to Audible type
no,
services.
it's like from what I've seen the service, they just do a lot of books, and they do a lot of
Hmm.
books in Hindi, which a lot of international media don't do because not as many books,
Right,
and
right.
because a lot of people who are because Cuckoo has a lot of books in Hindi,
Hmm.
and that is why they kind of like different people will
Hmm.
talk about different books that you can talk about. I guess. So
Yeah,
he will talk about Savarkar because his audience has was wants Savarkar, and they have Savarkar because they have everybody.
they must have like a lower bar of entry for publishing
Yeah,
there.
because I think part of it is because the Hindi publishing is not as like
Yeah, as such, it's
fossilized
hmm.
as English publishing, especially in India.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, anyway, they're all shilling, and like the thing is, one thing for again, the good friend of the show, Jaipur Dialogues, he straight up has his Paytm in his description.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
that
I'm not
is.
even going to give you a product, just give me money. Okay,
No,
just give me money.
I think like that is like the other approach. People ask for like Patreon.
Yeah, it's not even
Like this
Patreon.
is
He's like,
no
just
no no.
Paytm
This
me
is like
money.
the this is the poor version of Patreon. Like
Yeah.
with
But
Patreon, you at
but
least it's
even
different.
in Patreon, right? So if some people subscribe to you on Patreon, they get additional benefits. He's
Right.
not offering any such thing. He's just saying, "Give me money."
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm even sympathetic to that. A lot of people don't have the kind of network to have like easy access to Patreon. So
Yeah,
a lot of especially like rural reporters who tend to who sometimes have YouTube like access,
yeah,
they tend to put their Paytm because like because money is valuable. So like if if people can spare certain amount for like good reporting, I guess like I'm sympathetic to like I don't think anytime someone asks for money it is grifting.
no, no, no. I do think that every time, like not every time, of course, because everybody on YouTube does sponsorships and all that. The main thing is not that, but the main because what I am trying to do is meet you in the middle. Because the alternative is that these are rabid like fascists.
Yeah, these are
Okay.
private sources.
Oh my god, these are because if you take at face value their rhetoric, right, and if you believe that what they're saying is what they believe, inside and outside is the same, then they are just like full on
Rabbit
poison
fascists, yeah.
pilled.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There is very little other explanation for it. I mean
Yeah.
the because I mean you are talking about people. I mean uh, a lot of it is difference in presentation, right? You
Hmm.
have like lol counts, and then
Yes.
you have like people who try to say emotional,
People who try to
and
like clean up their act and like
yeah, people
say
like
say
and then
washing.
Jaipur dialogues will be people who are like the highest level of intellectualization of like that kind of right wing thought, because you and then like you will talk about like then you get into like standard sort of this thing, right? You talk about they get into whataboutism, they get into like they tend to like pick examples which are like
I mean, in the
uh,
last episode, we saw like a self admittance of this, that they cherry
yeah,
pick.
because he said it himself, right?
Yeah,
I only
he
listen to
said I
American
cherry pick.
surveys
He
when they
just said
agree
it.
with me.
Instead of
I only
using,
listen
yeah.
to surveys when I only listen to American surveys when they agree with me.
Yeah, so that's what. So he just said the definition of cherry picking
Yeah,
directly. He's like, yeah, I cherry pick. So what?
yeah, and that's kind of the point. A lot of these people are very dishonest.
No, not no. That's the thing. If they were dishonest, right?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Dishonest not in the sense of not in the sense of misrepresenting their view.
Okay, ideologically
In the sense
dishonest.
of
Yeah.
misrepresenting reality to fit
Hmm.
their view.
To fit their ideology, yeah. And they also have picked up on this thing, right? That oh no, there should not be this Bollywood and all should not be ideological. इसमें अपना वर्ल्ड व्यू घुसा देते हैं, आइडियोलॉजी घुसा देते हैं, right? It's like
Yeah, people bitch about it all
everybody
the time.
everybody has their own ideology, right? If somebody writes a
It's the
book,
kind of thing when like it's the kind of thing where somebody says I don't want politics in my
video
dash.
games.
I mean, video games is like the stereotypical example, but like
Yeah.
people in general say they don't want politics in their like media or politics in their like in their like movies or like mainstream media, things like that. What
And yeah, even
I
yeah.
there is a level of charitability I can assign, a level
Hmm.
where most people say I don't want politics in my media. They say they mean I don't want my media to be partisan.
Or be actively taking a side. That's it. Yeah, so partisan. Yeah, as you said. Yeah.
Like not even taking, not even necessarily taking a stance, but like saying that I support this political party,
Hmm.
and that is something you might not always agree with, but you can get, but you understand.
Yeah.
You can because you can always because every party has because the kind of because political organization kind of entails a lot of shady things which it is very easy to kind of attack, you know.
And so that's the thing. So even
and
not
and
just
most parties, and like if I say if my film is pro Congress, like
Hmm.
if I say that my film is pro Congress, then it is easy to like then it is easy to see why people dislike it because it is pro Congress, because then you get into the whole Congress's history. Congress did this, Congress did that, etc., etc., etc.
I mean,
And so,
if you publicize a movie as a pro Congress, you will lose all viewership.
like, take as much as the movie itself existing was kind of bad, PM Narendra Modi did not do very well.
Oh, yeah. That's again, but I
Because
think
it
that
was,
comes down to that movie not being like shitty. I don't.
yeah, but it was shitty, but shitty movies have done good business in India before. The
Right.
point is, like, even like supporters of the government thought it was bad. To the point, to the point that people made the joke that the election commission did the BJP a favor by not allowing it to be released before the election.
Yeah. We should have been campaigning to let it be released before
Yes,
election.
Vivek Oberoi, Vivek Oberoi, best
Yes,
spokesperson for
bring
Rahul
back
Gandhi.
Vivek Oberoi. We want Vivek Oberoi के घर में रोटी.
But I guess the point is, like, the most charitability I can give to these people is that when they say they don't want politics, they generally, what normal people generally mean is that they don't want, like, electoral politics. They don't want, like, partisanship in the media.
Yeah, so
But
that's
when you talk about political issues,
hmm.
a lot of those coming in media is inevitable because these are not things. Political issues are not things occurring in like a parallel dimension which don't affect reality. Political
Exactly.
issues are issues that affect reality. That is why they are political.
Yes.
That is why political parties talk about them. That is why power is needed to resolve them one way or the other.
Yes. This
So
cognition is like
Yeah.
is absent in a lot of people, right? This I
Mm,
even like when I was trying to promote this stream, and I was
mm,
like in some servers that I frequent, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a podcast, do you guys want a link? And someone asked that, okay, what kind of a podcast is it? I'm like, okay, social and political issues, right?
mm, mm,
And that person is like, oh no, I am apolitical as fuck, dude.
mm.
Like मुझे सुनना ही नहीं है. So I like, okay, here's the thing though. What you
I think
are is
calling it
not.
like a current affairs politics
Yeah,
is
let's just start
current
calling it.
affairs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of it is branding. Because when you say
Let's just
politics, people think of politicians, and when you think of politicians, it's just like a phrase association. You know.
let's just start calling. Let's just go full cynical. Let's just start calling it a news broadcast. Okay, this is a news show. Okay, this is
To be
news.
fair, to be fair, at our worst, we would probably be like 10 times the journalists, mainstream media.
Yes.
To be fair, have you actually seen this video?
Which
There
one?
is this wait, 1 second. There is this report that was published by. Wait, there was this report that was about the Indian media.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Was it like
I
people's
remember
trust in Indian
it was
media?
sorry.
Was it about people's trust in Indian media or?
It was yeah, it was kind of about people's trust in Indian media.
Hmm.
It was the Lokniti Center for the Study of Developing Society.
Okay. All right.
Like that was the organization who did the report,
Mm-hmm.
and they had worked with like a German organization. Um, yeah, Print has covered this. Uh, mm, shit, what's it called? Yeah, Media in India, Access Practices, Concerns and Effects. It's by the Conrad Adenauer System. And yeah,
Link it.
this is the report. The print article about the report is
Oh, media in India. Okay. Well, can we jump directly to conclusions? Uh,
uh,
don't think we can go through this.
obviously this is like a like major a scientific study. This is not, you cannot really like
Hmm.
scan through the entire thing quickly. But okay, the general idea is that a lot of the general idea, because News Laundry had called the people who did the study, and they had a discussion about it,
Hmm.
and a lot of it did talk about sort of lack of trust in media,
Mm-hmm.
and even if TV is the main news source across the country, there
Mm-hmm.
is very little trust in private media because they see private media more as entertainment than as this thing. And
Okay.
this is by the way consistent across party support.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Yearning for old style delivering news. 49% prefer bulletins. 12% for debates. Okay. Of course, debates are a shit show.
yeah, but
Uh,
it's only 12%, and yet it forms such a like a large part of the media.
Yeah, I think there was like a trend of this. Like in some time ago, there's like a wave of like popularity of the debate format. But I think at this point,
People are just sick of it.
huh? People, yeah,
People are
people are
just
sick.
sick of it.
And speaking of things that people are sick of,
Mhm.
as you mentioned, right? People are tired of electoralism, right? People are tired of electoral politics. So if any movie takes a clear party stand, because here's the thing: political stand and party stand are two different things. You can
Right.
take a political ideological stance, and you
Mhm.
can be or you can be a like. It does not mean that you are like so. Okay, that does not mean you're no, if you're not mentioning a political party, that does not mean you're not taking a political stance, right? And this
Correct.
is what frustrates me about a lot of movies that I do watch and end up watching in from mainstream Bollywood, is
Mhm.
that a lot of them do this both sides in, right? This whole
Okay.
thing of that. So what happens is that, okay, there is a minority opinion. Let's say it's not popular right now,
Mhm.
and that is the main conflict, right? And the way that they resolve it is not by saying, okay, maybe the minority opinion is not wrong. Maybe it is not like, maybe something that is being considered immoral in society, something that is being considered anti-national, or something against which laws should be implemented. Maybe it's not a bad, like it's or maybe like the whole thing, how they deal with like social stigmas and all that, right? They almost like they're allergic to taking a stance that this is wrong. What is wrong? What does the movie think is wrong, and what does the movie think is right? Right. What they do is, what is the wrong part is at the end redeemed. At the end, like sort of be like, okay, it was in a way justified. It was in a way, inevitable. And okay, now that we have understood, now we'll not do it. Right. Like
I
I'm thinking of
I
movies
am
like
not understanding. I have to have an example for this because I'm not understanding what you
so the
mean.
movie that I'm most frustrated with in the last couple of years has been Mimi, the whole movie
Right.
about what is it?
Sorry to say.
Surrogacy. Yeah, yeah, that whole thing, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
at the end, it's like they start with a surrogacy movie, and they in the final 5 minutes turn it into an pro adoption movie. Okay, and not like when I say last 5 minutes, actually, like I might be exaggerating even 5 minutes, right? Because this whole movie's conflict has been this scenario in which a foreign couple has hired uh,
Spoilers.
Kriti Sanon for as a surrogate mother, and then
Right. And then they kind of abandon her.
they abandon her because it turns out that she has, like, there's a high probability of the child having Down syndrome, right? And which is like something which is not like, which is something very easily, not easily, very early on they could have detected it. It's a whole thing from a medical perspective. It's a mess of, but of course nobody expects.
No, no, no. But like the idea is that like the central drama is that they used her, and then when she might not be useful, they threw her away. That is like the central drama of the movie. Yeah.
Yes. And then she was left alone to raise the child on her own with her like parents and like the other characters. And then they come back. That's the second twist, or the second turn of the story, is
Right.
that some years later they come back and they're like, okay, this child is biologically ours, because
Given to us
huh?
because of the surrogacy agreement and all of that.
Yeah, not just because surrogacy agreement, because it was okay. Yeah, because of surrogacy, because the egg was Kriti Sanon's. Yeah, so but that, like, we have, according to the contract, claim on this child, and give us, right, and
Right.
uh, and how it's resolved is that foreign couple then finds a child to adopt, and they don't take the child back, the one from the surrogacy, because by this point Kriti Sanon has grown attached to it. Of course, she's a
Right, right,
kid,
right.
right? And
I don't know if I would call that pro adoption thing. I think the adoption thing is just a way to kind of like end the foreigner story, because the main story is basically regarding this one, right? Like her and her attachment to the child, and I think the adoption thing was just a way to like kind of maybe give them a happy ending is a bit of a story, but like at least like end that story so that Billy can live happily ever after with her child.
yeah, it's a cop out basically. It's like
Comfort
you
what way?
don't know how to resolve this conflict, right? There is
I
a
I think I don't think they do resolve this conflict. If the kid stays with her, that
yeah.
is but if the kid stays with her, that is the resolution of the conflict, right? Like, because
Yes, that's
because
the thing.
it's
That
still her child. Because the game, the movie concedes that it is her child now.
yes, but only in the sense that because the foreign couple does not want it anymore, that she gets to keep it. Because okay, a little spoiler warning, the point at which this is revealed that the foreign couple has found a child to adopt and no longer want Kriti Sanon's child is when she is coming to give her child back to them. So it's like, okay, she has given up at the point where, because they are threatening legal action. And so she has like decided to not fight that whole thing. And
Did it
she,
really?
yes. So, so,
I
so,
thought it would be like there would be like this whole speech and everything, like, and then the foreigners couples would be moved, and then they would be like, "He is really your child,"
yes.
etc., etc.
So now you understand how it's a cop out,
Oh my
right?
god!
Because in
It's
a
not even a
normal,
cop out. It's just bad. What the hell?
it's, yeah. So it's not
Like
even,
I expect Bollywoodisms, right? I
yeah.
expect the big speech, the
Yes.
like that maa ka pyar and things like that.
Yes.
But like I expect that. What is this?
It's coincidence that, oh, coincidentally,
अरे
that,
हमको दूसरा बच्चा मिल गया.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
टाटा
maybe
bye bye.
it's
Like
fine.
what?
And it does turn into a pro adoption movie, specifically because the ending slide is a pro
Mhm.
adoption message. Instead of going for surrogacy, go for adoption. There are
Yeah.
so
So
many
like,
unadopted orphan children to adopt,
God,
right?
oh God.
So
So
don't
it
even
doesn't
worry about.
like. So like it doesn't even. It doesn't. Oh wow. Now I see what you mean when you said cop out. Fuck.
It's a movie that the thing is that, okay, it's a movie that begins with a heavy subject. Okay, it's a comprehensive question on the
Mhm.
autonomy of women's bodies versus the like exploitative systems that exist under capitalism versus, okay, are there, should there be a blanket ban, or there be regulation, right? Is there just a
And the thing is, there
yeah.
is a non like I don't know if you will consider even like my ending of like this thing a cop out, but like at least it would be something. At least it would
At
be
least
an ending.
it will be
At least it would
taking
be
a
an
stand.
ending. Like you could at least say that like the heroine goes in front of court, and then she says like then she gives like a long speech about how even if the child is like biologically theirs, that he was like raised with me and like etc etc, like you get that. It is not, it might not be like a perfect ending, but it is an ending.
Here's the thing though, that speech that you're talking about,
Mhm.
in a form that happens during their initial confrontation when they return back, right?
Yeah, but that the point of it is actually climactic, right? Because that is the like in Bollywood terms, that is the thing that is supposed to like soften their heart and then make them realize that they don't want to separate her from her child because that is in fact her child, and so then they adopt and that just ends the story or whatever. But like, what is this?
But it is so when that happens, it is presented as like a, helpless flailing of a mother, right? It's like
So
presented
the
as a
adoption
very,
is just like a Deus ex machina. It just resolves the conflict without like just like that.
yes,
They just randomly decide, okay, we just adopt another child and go back so they can stay alone, whatever.
yes. So this movie, which has surrogacy as a big plot point, takes
Mhm.
no stance on surrogacy. They escape
Fuck,
they
I see
escape
what you
making
mean.
they escape making any normative statement about anything related to surrogacy. Forget laws, forget society, even interpersonal statement about the state of mind of the mother and all that, right? Because they when I start, so people who are old subscribers of this channel would know that the first like a proper scripted video that I did was a review of this movie. It's just like 15 minutes long. And the main issue that I like at the end, the realization that I come to sort of is that either like it's a completely, cynical movie, which is like, okay, let's pick up
Let's
a
sell
problem.
ourselves as a like hot topic movie, but
Yes.
then not like actually get into the actual thorniness of the hot topic.
Yes, right. So let's just make it a thing where it's like everybody's attracted by, oh, this is about such a controversial topic, but let's never address that topic. Because when I started researching for making that video essay, I found there's a lot of content, a lot of material, research, and all that, which they have kind of copy pasted without understanding the context, right? Because, for example, their main conflict, the reason the conflict occurs is that the parents abandon the child, the intended parents abandon the
Mother and
biological
child.
child, right?
Right.
In the movie, when this happens, the doctor who was facilitating this surrogacy whole thing, she
Mhm.
makes a statement. She's like, ये फॉरेनर ना ऐसे ही करते हैं, दिस इज ए
Mhm.
नॉर्मल थिंग टू हैपन. Okay.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing, the movie
Mhm.
does not take even a second to criticize the doctor that if she knew this is a normal thing to happen in the universe of this movie, right?
Mhm.
But she
Mhm.
facilitated it full on anyway till that point. Till that point, she was all smiles and advice, health tips, and like, okay, this is what you need to do. This was like a completely altruistic role till that point of the doctor.
But then at that, but later she just said कि like she was just like नहीं ये ऐसे ही करते हैं
Huh. And this is the thing. This is a stupid,
like
dumb
what is the
mistake.
like what is the implication that she should have known the risks?
The yeah, no, but how would she have known the risk if she is trusting the doctor?
Is
Right?
the
The
is like
doctor.
is the doctor being made a villain by implying that she should have known the risks?
No, because that's it. When she says this, the doctor goes out of the picture. She's never brought in again. Okay? She gets off scot free. That's what I'm talking about. The thing that to
They
not
don't
take
even
a
make
stance.
they don't even have they can't even make the doctor a bad person. Like,
Yes, they don't have the balls to claim that anybody made bad ethical choice in this situation, or that there is a system that coerced them. Nah, 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 nah. Like, it's happily ever after. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about the fact that we said. And I tried to verify, is that a thing? Because right now surrogacy is banned in India. Like at least by foreign couples, it is definitely banned in India. And when it was still legal, was this like a thing that happened? I found one case of a twin couple, like a twins being born, and then they decided to take one twin and not the other, something like that, because the other twin had some genetic issue, something like that. One case, right? No statistics. So when they make this
I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think movies need to be like documentaries. These
yeah,
are,
yeah, yeah.
but like I'm fine with just having the foreigner couple as the bad guys, so to speak. No,
Somebody, right? Yeah, somebody.
no, no,
Even
no.
if
I don't like. You might argue that it is like it is like irresponsible to lie, etc., blah blah blah. But like I am fine with you just having the foreigners as being the bad guys.
yes.
What I am not fine with is that you kind of let's not even get into the ending. You kind of don't even try to get into like why people might do something. Either you say they are bad people, or they are victims of bad people, or they are victims of a bad system. Like those are your three sort of options, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of say that, but you do have to say that, you know?
Yes. You have to say something, right? You have to say something. This is what we believe. This is what is our worldview. Nah, nah, nah. So that's the kind of movie. So coming back to the whole thing, right? What people expect from Bollywood is this, that, oh no, let's just both sides things. Let's just,
I don't think there's both sides. It's just like doesn't brings it
like,
up
no
and then
sides.
doesn't talk about it.
Yeah, it's no sides. Let's not, there are no sides to this. But yeah,
It
like,
brings it up and then doesn't bring it up. It doesn't. It just brings it up and then doesn't talk about it again. Like
nope. Nope. That's, in fact, that is literally the last scene in which that doctor is seen when she's saying this, that this happens often. Uh, but yeah, in any case, right? So we're coming back to this whole thing about taking a stance, right? So I feel like at this point, like there is a group of people that expect this from Bollywood, but when it comes to like I don't know, it's like a very weird dynamic where we think that the majority opinion is unbiased, is what I'm trying to say, right? Mimi was especially frustrating because it refused to take any stance on anything. But there's a lot of movies, especially movies which deal with India Pakistan affairs, right? They
Mhm.
have to end on a redemption note that nobody was wrong, right? And
Frankly, I think that is preferable to the alternative.
yes, I think that like my like whole thing is not about normative claims about any one of the participants in a conflict. My
Mhm.
so the kind of movies that interest me, or the kind of media rather that interests me, is deconstructing how that conflict happened, right? What,
Mhm.
why is this a conflict? Why, like, what is driving this? Because oftentimes what is driving a conflict is the same thing on both sides. The sectarianism is both
Mhm.
sides
Mhm.
are following. It's just values are different, the algorithm is the
Mhm.
same,
Mhm.
right? And if you try to question that, right, so movies, so that becomes an anti-establishment movie, right? That becomes a, or any piece of media where it's like, okay, even something like, you brought up A Few Good Men, right? So if you, I believe you have watched that movie,
I
right?
have. I have.
So yeah,
I watched the movie. I've also seen the play on which this thing is based.
right.
Shaurya is based. Shaurya is actually not directly based on A Few Good Men.
Few,
It
but there's
is based.
similarities, yeah.
No, no, no. It is based on a Gujarati play called Code Mantra,
Oh, okay, interesting.
which, like, it's a sort of, it is like a sort of thing, sort of adaptation of an adaptation.
Hmm. Right, right, right. But
So
yeah, but like talking about,
yeah.
because Few Good Men is one of my favorite movies, is
Mm-hmm.
because it, in the end speech, the final speech by Jack Nicholson as like the general in charge of Guantanamo Bay,
Right.
is that you, like, this system of this military occupation is propped up by like the establishment. Like, I am here not because I like just strolled here, I was sent here, and I am
Right.
given this responsibility to like be America's savior, basically, right?
Right.
It
And
is,
that is why it kind of leads to Jessup's God complex. Like,
yes.
he thinks he owns the like the camp.
Yes, and that, and not just that he owns it. No, no, no. Because if he says that, if he says that, then he's a clearly a personally, individually flawed character. But in his last speech, what is revealed is he
Mhm.
does not think he owns it. He thinks that it is his right. It is his right
He's entitled
to,
to it.
yes, it is his right, given, guaranteed by the US government, the US armed forces, to do anything that
Right.
he considers a safety issue, like to take any action that he thinks will resolve a security threat for America. And what is a security threat for America? Whatever he decides, right?
Yeah. So he is like, so 1992.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess
What a
people
what
didn't.
a You
I,
could have said this movie 10 years later, 10 to 15 years later,
yeah,
and
you
it
could
would
have
have
said this after
probably,
9/11. This would have been a perfect movie for post 9/11 world, right?
yeah, like, because it just feels so, it would have been on the nose 15 years later, you know?
Yes, yes, and that's what I'm talking about. The thing, because
Especially given how Guantanamo Bay changed later, because later Guantanamo Bay gained a reputation as like the torture
like a
place.
torture camp, yeah, yeah. So this is, so the reason why, as you caught on, right, that it
Mhm.
is still fits, or it is still relevant, it is still makes sense in a post 9/11 world, is because it is not talking about flawed people messing things
It's
up.
talking about it is talking about people's reactions to flawed system.
Yes. So it's the systems that we have propped up that give infinite power to like higher up military officials, right? this system is we not only that this system. So what the point that I want to highlight is not that this is a unpopular
I think
system.
I think the movie is slightly softer in it than you would say. I think the movie argues that it doesn't give infinite power to them, but it does give people the belief that they have infinite power, so
Exactly.
to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. So, but at least in the moment, right? So what the main thing that I wanted to really highlight was that in Jessup's last in his closing speech, he what he reveals is that this system is popular, right? He says like uh, that we live in a world in which there are walls, and as long as there are walls you need people to guard them. And like,
I will quote the speech
yeah,
if you don't mind.
it's a long speech, but like there's a one part that I really want to like just talk
Yeah,
about. He says
you can't handle the truth, son. We live in a world that
yeah.
has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do that? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago and you curse the Marines. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. That Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth because deep down in places that you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Yes, and of there is of another. I think this continues a little more. There
It
was
does. It does.
yeah. Can you continue a little bit more? There's a line that I really
Sure.
want. Yeah.
You don't want sorry We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide, and then questions the manner in which I provided. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand at post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to.
Yes. So that line, right? That wait, hold on. What was it? That after he said about code, honor, and just like what was that about?
We use these words as a backbone of a life spent defending something. I
Uh,
have you use them as a
how
punchline.
I have neither the time nor the
The
inclination
inclination to
to
explain
explain
myself to a
myself to a
man
man who rises and sleeps under the
sleeps under the very
protection.
blanket of under the blanket of the very freedom that I provide. Like
Yes. Yes. This is the thing. So now what is highlighted here? Every American, freedom, right? That's like their tagline. Freedom. America is a free country, land of the free, and the brave and whatever. Right? So this, the cost of perceived freedom, right?
mhm,
Because freedom is a popular concept, nobody wants to give up their freedom, but what
right.
is considered freedom is Guantanamo Bay, which is essentially a land that is like uh, occupied by the US. This piece of land occupied by the US in Cuba. Cuba is not attacking the US. What are they doing there? What are they doing in like a Cuban military base? Why is that there? Right? But if you brand it that, oh, this is required for freedom, right?
Yeah,
So this thing is, yeah.
and that was kind of, and I guess it so much of it became sort of this thing, right? It started resonating much more in the post 9/11 world
Yeah,
when
it
you kind
became
of
a
had the
self-fulfilling prophecy when they started using it to torture suspected, like just people with Muslim names, right? They just started like black bagging people with Muslim names and putting them in Guantanamo Bay. People were like, yeah, we do need it, these are terrorists, don't you understand, we need it for national security. Look what they have done with the towers, right?
right.
Like, how can you look at the planes crashing into the towers and say that Guantanamo Bay is unjustified? Of course, it is justified. Look what they did to us, right?
Right.
This is so. This what is this? It is a system. It's an ideology. Every ideology is everywhere, right? And it presents itself as a natural reaction, right? It presents
Right.
itself as, of course. What else? How else can we respond? This is the only
Mhm,
way, right?
right.
And that is something that I find lacking in media. So my criticism of movies like Pathaan, movies like all these even like Bajrangi Bhaijaan, right, and all those such movies, is not that okay that whatever stupid allegations about okay Hindu phobia and pro Muslim and all that, but what they do is they take up a heavy issue, something like India versus Pakistan, Hindu versus Muslim narrative, and then they are like they don't do anything with it. They leave them in place, right? They don't talk about okay maybe we need to maybe we need to reduce the nationalism, right? Maybe we need to, maybe this conflict, maybe this whole hatred is being caused by us looking at Kashmir as different people, by the army that is present in Kashmir as not protectors but occupiers, right? People who are stationed there, who are not thinking that these like the Kashmiris are people that we are here to protect, but they think that they are there to protect the rest of the nation from these Kashmiris or the people passing through Kashmir, right? So maybe let's think about that, right? But and there can be a good story made about like this thing. This I am telling in a very dry theoretical way, but a good story can be woven about it, as we have seen in a lot of movies, right? Like even something like in a similar vein, there is a movie called with Denzel Washington in it. I think it's called Siege, in which is very interesting that it is a pre 9/11 movie, which is like the premise is that New York or just Manhattan. Wait, Manhattan is a
New
big
York
urban,
City.
huh?
New York City.
Yeah,
Terrorist attack New York City in 1998.
yeah, and the whole city is put under military like martial law
Mhm.
on request of the FBI, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like it's very, it's like prophetic almost that it was released in 98 and they acknowledge the whole thing about them training militants like Mujahideen militants in Afghanistan, and that coming back to them to bite them in their ass, right? That they had like
I have I have different opinions on the Mujahideen, but go ahead.
yeah, whatever, like it's a thing,
But
right?
you're
It's
talking
a
about like at
narrative.
least like Saudi like support and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's exactly that. So what it is that okay, the CIA in the movie, at least in the narrative of the movie, the CIA had trained a bunch of Islamic extremists in Afghanistan to boot out Russia by
Right.
building their whole anti-Russia, like anti-invader sentiment
Yeah.
by promoting the Islamic extremists, right?
Okay.
And they
Okay.
made warlords and trained soldiers out of them, and then
Mm-hmm.
they withdrew from it once Russia was booted out. When Russia, of course, was dissolved by 98, like USSR.
The Soviet Union, yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, yeah, and now we don't care. And now they have left them to their own devices, right? And some
Yeah.
antagonism has formed between them. And some of those agents, some of those highly trained agents in making explosives and improvising guns and all that, right? They have come to America and sort of like trying to take revenge of messing up their country. Okay, and and what happens is that there is a bunch of like bombings, and then they request that the entire city be put under martial law, so
MashaAllah.
that
Yeah.
the sleeper cells, the terrorist sleeper cells, can be flushed out, right?
Right.
And what it turns out, how the movie turns out, that of course martial law is terrible, and instead of helping the like FBI and CIA, it actually makes their job much more difficult, because the person who comes to like they become occupiers. The military occupies New York City, right? So then everybody is a potential enemy. Every citizen is a potential enemy now. So they
Right.
have this whole deal about internment camps for all the Muslim people, right?
Right.
So they
Right.
just immediately start forming camps, immediately start like third degree torture techniques, whole shebang, right?
Right.
And it's of course, it's like, okay, you cannot do like, you cannot respond to violence with more brutal and systematized violence, right?
Sure. Okay. Got
And like, so it's a whole thing, right? So but I
it. Right.
think like like if you just, that's my frustration with media is like, and not just this like media, because a lot of the people like have gone to watch Pathaan as a political statement, right? And it's like, no, this like, okay, I feel like I've been talking for too long, but yeah, what do you think about what I'm
No,
saying?
I get it. Like I the US role in
Hello.
and frankly the conflict of the
Yeah, this
hello
stop and fast forward thing happened again. It's fine now.
shit
Yeah.
Marco
Polo.
good I think our internet connection is trying to tell us we need to wrap up soon, but so I think this will probably be the last point.
Yeah.
I have issues with like this is not with this movie alone. I haven't seen this movie.
Hmm.
Uh, I have issues with the sort of general conflict, like representation of what the CIA did in Afghanistan,
Hmm.
and in general of the conflation of the Mujahideen and the Taliban. They are not the same. They were
Okay.
not the same. Ahmad
Hmm.
Shah Massoud was an actual person. He was not like a figment of the Reagan's imagination. Anyway, the point is, like, I get the sort of general idea that Bollywood doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Or like try to like be critical, right? Of like having a critical look at things that like patterns of behavior that exist. They try to be more like because once you start doing that, right, I feel like there's this whole unraveling that might happen because a lot of these
I think a part of the obvious reason for it is, frankly, the sheer amount of power the censor board has in this country.
Mhm.
Like, for example, in the US, for example, if you can release a movie unrated, it a lot of places won't release it, but it is legal to release it.
Mhm.
You can a theater can release an unrated movie.
Mhm.
In India, if the Central Board of Film Certification does not grant your movie a certificate,
Mhm.
it is not legal for it to be screened.
Mhm.
Like it
But
is against the law, which means that the central board that the censor board
mhm.
does have an a ridiculous amount of power when it comes to this thing. There's a difference between like for a film that is this political,
Mhm.
there is a significant difference between allowed to screen even if like being unrated means it is less like you know it might have like a smaller audience or whatever.
Mhm.
And obviously, this movie is not unrated. The Siege is not unrated.
No.
And but like the idea is that is an option, and that is an option that is always there.
But both of these movies that we have talked about are pre 9/11. The
Yeah, yeah,
sentiments would have been much different post 9/11.
of course. But like the point is, they are also the products of a culture where like state censorship is much less powerful.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And this is the reason why I don't think if the kind of movies that I'm talking about, if they are made, will get censored or like not rated, because like if I really think about it, there have been a few movies that I did like think came close,
You
right?
have been a lot of those have probably been significantly cut as well.
Maybe yeah. So what?
Pathaan got significant cuts.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I'm not talking about Pathaan. I mean to say
Now, but
that
like,
there,
what are you
yeah.
talking about?
So the one that's coming to my mind right now is something like Oh My God. Okay.
Oh my God, got cuts definitely.
Okay, it might, yeah, because it has a lot of religious imagery and
CPFC.
statements. Yeah, right.
I
But
don't know if they even. Oh yeah. Oh my God, got taken to court.
it's just so funny because that movie is about taking God to
Yeah,
court.
that is like it predicts itself.
Hmm.
Oh my God, not only got take. Oh my God, got cuts. It got taken to court,
Hmm.
and it didn't release in certain places.
Oh my God.
For
Oh,
example, in Ludhiana, the movie did not release.
amazing. But yeah, right, that
Which
is.
I mean it like it kind of proves the point of the movie. but like it just kind of, you kind of do get it, right? This is the
Yes.
kind of pressure make movie makers or any kind of media, like artists, are under in this country, because the state has that kind of power to kind of end your, like end, like just not allow your movie to be shown.
Yes, and that is the reason. So what I feel like in something which is in Oh My God, is that okay, they try to present a world, like a particular mode of analysis, which is
Mhm.
like people by default need somebody to irrationally believe in.
Mhm.
Okay, that is the movie's thesis statement. That
Yeah, but then it kind of messes with it by having the Lord Krishna like
yeah,
really
and then
exist.
Lord Krishna himself comes like.
No. I get why they did it, but like I also get why it kind of this thing, you know.
I think that can, I still, even that thing, because the statement that I'm talking about is given by Lord Krishna himself. That
Yeah,
this
like
statement
it's a
that
very typical sort of religious unity statement, right? All religions are the same. All of us has to do good by our brother. Things like that.
there are two different like ways of this, right? All religions are the same. There's two implications. One implication is that they all follow the same basic patterns where you are
Mhm.
asked to irrationally believe in a entity that is not perceivable, and then some people claim to be like conduits to that entity, and then you believe them in them
Right.
irrationally.
Mhm.
It's not all. It's about, yeah. So it's kind of that, but then all the
No, but like the thing is, most people are not like Peryarites, you know.
okay.
The general audience in a country, especially in a country like India, most people are not going to think of, when they say all religions are the same, you're not going to think of it in terms of like all the religions are the same and that they are all like talking about like hypothetical supernatural deities, etc., etc. Most people, when in this country, we have generally, when we talk about, when we say most all religions are the same, the general social message that is implied is that all religions ask you to love your brother and live happily together and things like that. Like that is
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
general public belief, and that is kind of like, you might argue it is cliched, but it is a kind of cliche that is kind of required in a multi religious society.
I mean, that is like, I guess that is where we diverge, right? I firmly do not believe that if people continue to take their religion as seriously as they are right now, that there can ever be religious harmony, like, or harmony between people of different religious denominations. Because it is
I
necessary.
don't I
Yeah,
don't disagree with that, okay,
it
but
is necessary for people to consider religion a less important part of their lives if we are to ever hope that it becomes a, so Hindu versus Muslim ever becomes not a hot button issue, right? Because
yeah,
everyone can blame the media that, oh, these are the people who create these
Hindu Muslim
conflicts,
this thing, but
right?
they are not. They don't create them. They might infiltrate them, but
Yeah,
these are like
these are
divides that
organically
exist.
happening, yeah.
These are divides that exist in society. Yeah,
Yes, these, so they might amplify those divides and they might capitalize on them. Fine. They
but these divides exist. Yes,
media is not the origin of Hindu Muslim divide. Hindu Muslim
you're
divide
right.
is there because, and this is the thing which is more risky to say about like something like Islam, because they're like, I don't claim to be a scholar on Islam, but I understand that a very important basic tenet that they have is that like they have like the same Abrahamic original belief, and they believe that the message of like the one true God, right, has
Right.
been corrupted. Okay, so they do consider.
Yeah. So it is, all religions are the same, but all except ours are perversions of ours.
Yeah, so not even that. So it is like, okay, so you had the original Abrahamic faith of Judaism and Christianity after that, right? So they do believe that Jesus Christ was like a prophet, right? And he did like he was like the true Son of God, kind of. No, wait, they can't
No, he
believe
was
that.
not son of God. He
No, no,
cannot.
they can't believe that. Yeah,
He was a prophet.
but he was a prophet, right? And he gave the message of God, and people adopted it, but then over time it has been corrupted, it has been changed, too much mutated. And it
Right.
was founded, Islam was founded to with that basic a foundational goal of not changing the word of God. The whole point
Okay.
of Islam existing apart from Christianity and Judaism is that we will not change the word of God. That is why we will not interpret the Quran. We will not try to change, like
This
re-edit
is
the Quran.
technically true, but practically like doesn't
It is
happen.
practically, yeah,
Most
practically it is, because people cannot live their
normal
lives.
normal normal human people cannot like live their lives in like this thing to books. In
Yes,
practice, most people kind of pick and choose 80%.
yes. And as long as, so bad that the thing, as long as I am fine with picking and choosing, because I consider there's a lot of, like, if you go into the philosophical aspects, even in the
Mhm.
Islamic texts, a lot of philosophical concepts I find really, really interesting, right? Like specifically about their conceptualization of God, that I like this whole formless, stateless, like being entity thing, right?
Mhm.
That like you can't perceive, you can't reproduce it in media, right?
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
do believe that it is, yeah, okay. So I kind of like have that also, the same conceptualization of God in that same vein. But okay, recursively now you can't represent that in media. That is a weird part, right? That is, that like is authoritative, or like quite bad, right? So
Mhm.
of course you should need to have the ability to pick and choose, but for a Muslim like person to say okay, be openly okay with choosing whatever parts of their religion they like, they have to take Islam less seriously. They have to be like, okay, that whole thing about not changing and not reinterpreting the word of God, that's crazy talk. I am going to pick the parts that I like, right?
Mhm.
Is what I'm like sort of kind of trying to say. And of course, I don't think the contention between Hindus and Muslims is just driven by the philosophies of their texts. It is also an identitarian issue. It is just a lot of the time it just boils down to us versus them, and all the problems in our society is because of them. And if only they were not here, we would be living in peace and harmony,
Yeah, this is a
right?
very normal what X uh, um like the idea is that it's just like normal scapegoating,
Yeah, yeah. So it comes down to very, very basic tribalism,
right?
right? So yeah, but of course, like the resolution for that, I do feel is not that whole PK brand of trying to logic people out of the religion, right? Be posing as an alien and being like, oh, yeah, this part doesn't make sense, bro. It is not supposed to make sense.
I think obviously like an analysis of human belief in the supernatural is not something that can be resolved a in a movie. I guess I am more sympathetic to PK because partly one because it tries,
It tries. Okay, sure.
and
Yeah.
uh, and another because I mean this is not a problem. This is a problem that has not been solved by like decades of study. I don't think it is fair to put the responsibility for it on Rajkumar Hirani, no matter how good a filmmaker he is.
Yeah.
But I guess I guess I guess I guess I am more sympathetic to people who try because if you support people who try, it encourages other people to try
And here,
and
like
try
you see,
and Rajkumar Hirani has paid quite a bit for trying.
yeah, yeah, we all know. But yeah, so to sort of tie up this, like, right, because
Mhm.
this is like sort of infinitely refractorable topic.
Mhm.
But I do think that the responsibility of at least the kind of people who are aiming for not the kind of solution to sectarian tribalism that suggests that prescribes that okay, just get rid of the two like just make the two groups live separately and then it will be fine because there's going to be infinite divisions within those separate groups also. But to counter this is not to be like, so to ask a question to somebody who opposes a movie like PK or Oh My God or Pathaan is not that to tell them that okay, no, this is not, this is actually well within the framework of patriotism and it is well within the framework of loving your
It's to
country.
make them
And
question patriotism.
yes, why is patriotism so important to you? Right? Why is that your moral compass? Why is, what good has it done you? Do you think it is good for society in general? Right? Have you considered that maybe this is an issue not of like that which is supreme, like which whatever group is gaining supremacy, but
Mhm.
every group is vying for supremacy, right? It's something like even that Bhageshwar Dham dude, right? He calls himself like he is open like मैं कट्टर हिंदू हूँ, right?
Right.
So he so people are like, yeah, okay, why not? You know, they are not critical about that. Why not? Why is it like, is this, yeah, okay, just one last thing, okay, I'm so sorry. But when Jaipur Dialogues covered this the guy,
That's
because I
correct.
forget his name, I just know the Bhageshwar Dham thing.
It's
uh,
Bhageshwar.
huh
What is Bhageshwar?
okay, so it's like this okay, do I tell you about it? Basically it's
Can we
this.
discuss this later?
Yeah, no, anyway, but basically it's a Baba, okay?
Okay,
Any
right.
Baba, it's
Got it.
just a Baba,
Got it. Got it. Got
right?
it.
And
Wait. Bhageshwar Dham is that guy. Is he
yeah,
that
the
guy
young
who was
looking
like a
guy,
young guy
yes,
who was on TV and
yes,
things like that? And
everywhere.
he
His
was like
face is
sued for.
plastered, like he, for a week, his face was on every news channel, right?
Hmm.
Every He was giving interviews to everyone. He was like, yes, give me popularity.
Right.
So yeah, so this the Jaipur dialogues, when he covered it, he was like, no, extremism is not bad actually. There's a good extremism and there's bad extremism. There is nothing wrong with being a Hindu extremist. There is a lot wrong with being a Muslim extremist. Look at Middle
Yeah,
Eastern countries.
Pakistan, ISIS, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This stupidity, right? This is
No,
what
this is
needs to
just
be.
this. No, I don't know if this is stupidity exactly. It is just a standard like idea. Like people argue it is actually like it's a common argument when you say something uh, like I support good things and I oppose bad things.
Yeah. So, but yeah, to as you mentioned this, very pop like if to get a little more philosophical, Hegel, who's like a very famous German philosopher,
Mhm.
uh, his conceptualization of evil, which is quite radical even now, is that
Mhm.
evil is what believes itself to be absolute good, right? It is the fanaticism of pursuing the goals, the good goals in your mind, right? Extremism
Mhm.
is evil, right? So being a Hindu extremist, like no matter what you think how good Hinduism is, being a Hindu extremist,
Extremism is ipso facto. Yeah.
yes, right? So yeah, I feel like this needs to be touched upon, this needs to be a little bit more like fleshed out, more talked about.
Well, see you next in 2 weeks,
2 weeks,
where we
no,
will also
we were
discuss
able
the
to.
BBC documentary.
Yes. Do
Because
would
I
we
am
even
just
pick it
tired
up
of
next time, because I think it's
what the
relevant at
BBC
this point.
documentary.
Yeah.
What the BBC documentary? I think it cannot be irrelevant. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
we
Sure.
still live in a world after that. It's
So we were able to put out two episodes back to back, 2 weeks back,
woohoo!
because last week we uploaded the recorded one and this week we have live stream. So if you want to continue live stream, there will not be any lag.
I
So
mean, I hope so. Let's
yeah,
see.
let's hope. Okay, then
Let's see.
see you everyone. Whoever still watching or watching in the future, please
Like, share, and subscribe.
subscribe and ring that bell, please. My mom had not rang the bell and she would not get any notifications for any of my videos. So
Ding
please do
dong.
that. Yes. Okay. And yeah. See you.